Hello, my name is Jaclyn Kim, and today I'm going to be talking about the most common enharmonic notes found on the A string. Enharmonic notes are notes that look different or have two different names, but if you close your eyes, they would sound exactly the same. For example, A sharp or B flat are the same exact note. This is A sharp, and this is B flat. So these notes are a little bit more rare. We do see them a lot, but if you're a beginner first starting out and playing music, you probably won't run into these notes as often. I have another video before this one talking about the most common notes on the A string. Make sure you watch that video first so that this one makes even more sense. The first most common enharmonic note found on the A string is probably A sharp and B flat. So A sharp looks like this, and B flat looks like this. So A sharp is on that second space and B flat is on the third line. And for either one of the notes, I would use a first finger. So again, this is A sharp and this is B flat. Then your next note is B. B can also be called A double sharp or C flat. A double sharp is less common, so I'm going to write C flat. So B natural looks like this, and this is a natural sign. And then a C flat looks like this. And again, I would just use a first finger because they're in the same area, the same space. So this is B natural, and this is C flat. And I just used my same finger. First finger, I didn't even lift it up. Then our next note commonly found is C natural. And C natural can be played with a low 2. And C natural, it can also be called B sharp. And for B sharp, you can use a low 2 or you can use a high 1. Just depends on what note comes before, so what position your hand is in, what feels the most comfortable, what's not awkward. So this is C natural, and this is B sharp. And there's also more names for C natural. C natural could also be called a D double flat, but that's very, very rare. So let's just move forward. Next note commonly found is C sharp. And C sharp can also be called D flat or B double sharp, which is also rare. C sharp can be played with a high 2. D flat can be played with a high 2 as well, or a low 3. So this is C sharp, this is D flat. Then your next note is D natural. D natural could be played as a C double sharp, or the other name can be C double sharp. C double sharp looks like this. 2 sharps makes an X, and it means double sharp. I'm not sure why or who invented that, but that's what it is. And D can also be called E double flat, and E double flat looks like this. And I think the double flat sign makes a lot more sense, but I'm not in charge of the rules. And all of these notes you can play with a third finger or a low 4. But most comfortable will probably be a third finger. So this is D, this is C double sharp, and this is E double flat. And then the next common note is D sharp. D sharp, and another name for it is E flat. E flat is very common too. So the reason why we have sharps and we have flats and we also have naturals, and how do we pick whether we need to use flats, naturals, or sharps? It really depends on what key you're in, or what key you're changing to, modulating to, or what came before it. And that's much more heavy in the music theory. That might be a really long topic, but that's why some composers will use a D sharp and some composers will use an E flat. So a D sharp sounds like this, and an E flat sounds like this. Normally when we see an E flat, we would play it with a low 4. And normally when we see a D sharp, we'll play it with a high 3. But if you see a D sharp, you can play it with a low 4. And if you see an E flat, you can play it with a high 3. It doesn't really matter. It just really depends on what note comes before, where your hand frame is on the violin, and what feels the most comfortable. And then the next note is E natural. And E natural could also be called D double sharp, or it could also be called F flat. Like that. In E natural we can play our 4th finger, and F flat we can also play our 4th finger. So 4th finger E, 4th finger F flat. But honestly, if I saw an F flat, I would probably use my open string as E. But then again, it depends what I'm playing right before that note happens. And harmonic notes are very confusing, especially when you first tackle them and you first learn them. So if you have any more questions, feel free to comment down below and I'll reply to you. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.